question that I asked you is, have you ever admitted to exploitation yourself, like exploiting somebody else, and then called it fine?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I voted for Trump 3 times, and one of the biggest reasons, well, here's some good positives that we've done for our country. For example, energy independence and dominance. Right now, we are a net energy exporter for the first time in decades. His criminal justice reform, the First Step Act, bipartisan legislation that reduced the sentencing for a lot of nonviolent offenders, which is another big one. Also, Dean, don't forget about border security and immigration enforcement. He's built significant sections of border wall and fencing, implemented Remain in Mexico, which has ramped up deportations of criminals, which is really important to me. Also, don't forget about the Abraham Accords in the Middle East. Although it's not pretty, he's actually implementing things and things are actually getting done. A lot of people are making deals with him. Now, he's also appointed some 200 federal judges and Supreme Court justices. Now, this is also important because these judges are conservative judges. They're young. They're going to be around for quite some time, and these are federal appointments. Operation Warp Speed, I mean, a lot of people can go ahead and say they agree with that. It's probably the most downfall thing he has, in my opinion. Now, the Veterans Affairs reforms was also huge. It did expand the VA choice programs, allowing veterans greater access to private care, reduced wait times, and it addressed accountability issues within the department. Trade and manufacturing focus, he renegotiated NAFTA into the USMCA, did impose tariffs on China to address trade imbalances, and we are seeing some job manufacturing growth after COVID. So not much, but we're getting there. I also do support his executive order 14192, which is that 10-to-1 policy where you got to get rid of 10 regulations for every one regulation that you add. Yeah, at the end of the day, Dean, we're just being stifled by government overreach, and at least he's addressing some of those things.
You know what? Honestly, dude, I was wondering when I'd have a guest do this, and I'm so surprised that this is the first time it's ever happened. So I know exactly what you were reading off of. That wasn't off the top of the dome of your head. So if you go to whitehouse.gov and you type in accomplishments, there's an accomplishment HTML page on whitehouse.gov. That just lists every single thing he just said. So he went to Google, he typed in Trump accomplishments. The first link was whitehouse.gov, Trump accomplishments, and he read off everything on that list. Right?
No, actually no.
Okay.
I'm not even.
We got a
liar.
liar.
Whitehouse. I'm not on whitehouse.gov.
Okay. So let's see here.
But these are actual things that are important.
Yeah. Oh, I let you speak for 5 minutes. You need to stop speaking now. Thank you. So you named off 1, 2, 3, 14 things. So here's my next question to you. Do you want me to debunk them all at once, or do you want to go point by point?
Well, it was only 7, but okay.
No, so there were 15 points in all. I think that you may have grouped a couple of sub points over the main point, which, by the way, proves that you were reading it off, because you see it clearly listed as 7 points with subtopics below a handful of them.
No,
So,
I listed
thank you.
seven things. That's
Okay.
all I said.
Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and debunk them all. So the first thing that you said is that under Trump we're now energy independent. Well, actually, we produce the most oil that we ever have as a country in a 4-year time span under Biden. So Biden was really great for energy production. We produced more than 13.2 million barrels of oil per day from July of 2023 until the end of his term, when the most we ever produced under Trump in his first term was 12.9 million barrels of oil per month in 1 month in December of 2019. First point debunked. Your second point was Donald Trump's criminal reform through the First Step Act. Well, guess what? Yeah, the First Step Act was good, but it was actually proposed to Congress under Obama. Then the GOP stalled to pass it until they had a Republican in the presidency like Trump. And second of all, he actually is now running on getting rid of the First Step Act, because that is what made it illegal to kill people with a death penalty for selling drugs. Donald Trump ran on bringing it back, so in other words, he ran on contradicting the First Step Act. Second point debunked. Your third point was border security and immigration enforcement. You said he built the wall. Well, actually, he built less than 3% of the wall in his first term alone, and when they wanted to build more of it under the Biden-Harris administration to appease the Republicans to get a bipartisan border bill, Trump shot it down and told people to vote against it. Third point debunked. Your fifth point was that he implemented Remain in Mexico, and that somehow helped to get more criminals out of the country. So the Remain in Mexico policy is to keep asylum seekers, legal immigrants in America, and because of his re-implementation of that, yes, ICE is arresting and deporting asylum seekers, but they're not criminals because they haven't committed a crime because they didn't come into this country with the use of undocumented means. They were legally allowed to come into this country because of their asylum status, which let them come in prior to the implementation of the Remain-in-Mexico Act. Fifth point, debunked. Your sixth point was the Abraham Accords. You touted that as if it was good. No, it was actually very bad because it excluded Palestine as a designated state, in which then emboldened Israel to go on like the war path of ethnic cleansing and genocide that they're on today. It's one of the big reasons that they are like right now illegally occupying the Gaza Strip in the West Bank because there isn't any international enforcement to stop them from doing such. But if Palestine was included in the Abraham Accords, then they wouldn't be able to illegally occupy these regions because then they'd get absolutely fucked by every other country in the Abraham Accords because they'd be violating an international treaty. Seventh point, debunked. Your eighth point was he did a lot of deals. What deals? That's vague. We're just going to go ahead and set that one aside because of how vague it was. Your eighth point was that he appointed 200 federal judges, and they're conservative and young, and this is not good for our country, sir, because the 200 federal judges that he's appointed so far in his second term was after he fired 200 liberal justices and replaced them with conservative ones with zero experience in judging. They were all like lawyers from the American First Law Foundation or like scholars that just graduated law school. Some of them like barely even have law degrees. They have no experience in judging whatsoever. These are first-time installments because he had to replace so many liberal judges because they actually wanted to uphold the law. Point debunked. Your next point was Operation Warp Speed. I'm not going to debunk that. That was a good bill. But what did Donald Trump do after he passed Operation Warp Speed that expedited the approval of the COVID vaccine? He then turned around and told people that it's ineffective, that wearing masks sucked, and supported and condoned conspiracy theories that like gives kids autism. And now, in fact, one of the people that profited off those conspiracy theories is his serving Secretary of Health. So bill good, but the follow-up to that bill diminished the good impact of the bill. Point debunked. Your next point was the Veteran Affairs reforms. He expanded the VA Choice Program. No, he didn't expand the VA Choice Program at all. He just said he did, which is funny because he did pass a bill about VA choice, allowing them to go to hospitals outside of Veterans Affairs when they have machines required to fix their ailments or the wait times are too long at the VA. But this was already a bill passed under Obama called the VA Choice Act, which was hilarious. His bill didn't do anything. It was just a copy and paste of Obama's. Point debunked. Your next point was trade and manufacturing. You said he renegotiated NAFTA. Okay, yeah, he did renegotiate NAFTA into the USMCA. But guess what? If you think that Donald Trump is a good president from your perspective, you shouldn't support his renegotiation of NAFTA into the USMCA because Donald Trump is shitting on the USMCA today. He's telling Canada that it's not a good agreement. He's saying that we need to renegotiate it with Canada right now. In fact, he nullified the USMCA when he imposed reckless tariffs on both Canada and Mexico at the beginning of his second term, which were illegal, by the way. Point debunked. Your next point was tariffs on China. Yeah, illegal tariffs on China that he had to repeal and is now having to refund the companies that paid them. Point debunked. And then your last point was that he increased jobs. No, quite frankly, last year we got the worst jobs report that we've had on record since 2003, excluding all recessions since then. We also had the most manufacturing bankruptcies since 2010, the highest level of unemployment since the pandemic, and in February we lost 92,000 jobs. Point debunked. And then your last point was getting rid of 10 regulations for every one regulation that he adds. Okay, well, what I'm going to need you to describe is, well, what regulations has he gotten rid of, and how has that materially benefited our country? Because if you can't describe the regulations that he's removed and how it's benefited this country, then why should we care? Point debunked. So now, all in all, I debunked all 14 points that you made.
Actually, no, you didn't. You just said, oh, that's not true, when in fact these things did happen. So, no, the executive order is good because it stops additional regulations being put because 10 will have to be removed. So you're debunked there. It is a good positive program.
Is regulation always bad?
I need to find my daughter.
Let's do what we do.
I will hunt you down and stick a piece of dynamite right up your...
It is when it's overstretching its bounds, yeah.
Wait, so you just said it's bad because it's bad. So the answer to the question is no. Regulation is not always bad. So this is why we shouldn't recklessly support policy that would necessitate that we remove regulation before we want to add new regulation. Listen, I understand sometimes regulation is bad, can slow things down and shouldn't exist. That's fine. Okay, but just to like support as a blanket statement, every instance of removing regulation is good, is reckless and dangerous, okay? Because there's many regulations that we absolutely need.
Yeah, but to sit here and say that, oh, well, these liberal judges are better than the conservative judges, I just disagree with you 100% with that. Like, Dude, you guys, your liberal judges are out to lunch, bro.
Then you support DEI because the liberal justices
Homie,
simply
dude,
had
the
more
guy-
experience.
the guy-
Like,
listen,
he replaced
the guy-
200
dude.
liberal justices with 200 conservative justices that hadn't spent a day as a
What-
judge
what
in a
was-
courtroom
what was
before.
the name of
They
that
had no
Ukrainian-
resume.
What was the name of that Ukrainian girl, for example, right? Dude, that guy is claiming he's like mentally incapable of holding trial. Okay, then put him in jail. Like, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about, bro. Like, Democrat judges, okay, let this man out of jail 14 different times for violent offenses. Okay, he literally said after he walked by several black women on the train, I got that white girl. See, it's liberal judges like that are going to destroy this country and make things unsafe for us, bro.
Okay, yeah,
So
and the
yes,
Republicans
as many
made
liberal
an
judges-
adjudicated
listen, bro.
rapist that's in the Epstein files over 1 million times president, who then went on to call for the execution of his political opponents and condone the execution of American citizens like Keith Porter, Renee Good, and Alex Preddy. What the fuck is your point? Listen,
See,
I agree
Dean, that's
that
what-
multiple count
see, Dean?
offenders should be thrown in jail. And yeah, sure, if a singular judge or maybe two judges continue to let this multiple account offender walk free on the streets, then there's an issue with that, 110%, and we should blame that on those individual judges. But are those individual judges the champions of the totality of the Democratic Party? No. Is Trump the champion of the entirety of the GOP? Yes. Is he a violent offender? Yes. Is he a 34 count felon? Yes. Has he been held civilly liable like
No,
4
he's not.
times for fraud?
No.
Yes. Is he named in the Epstein files over 1,000 times? Yes. Has he boasted about sexual exploitation? Yes. The only serial like offender here that's perpetually being let to walk free with no accountability whatsoever and being
absolutely
handed
not.
power by the totality of a political party is Donald Trump in reference to the GOP.
Absolutely not. Trump ran a real primary. He got 40 million primary votes next to Joe Biden's 14 million. Okay, so he's way more popular in the primary than Biden ever was. We elected him. We didn't cut out the last minute and shove in JD Vance like some weirdo who couldn't even debate a guy like Trump. Let's be honest, Biden could not debate Trump. He failed miserably. He destroyed your party.
This point is hurting you. I just got done
No,
saying.
no, it's
Listen.
not
I'll
hurting you.
explain to you how this point is hurting you.
No,
Because I just got done saying.
Your
Okay, so you have more to say. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you finish. Once you're done, I want to go ahead and respond to describe
and I
to you
wanna-
how this
right.
point is hurting you.
Okay, now I'm also going to tell you 34 counts for the same crime, an alleged payoff of some, corn woman that he's never even met, who only threatened to come out with the story. So his lawyer decided to handle it. And then there was 11 checks that Trump signed for legal fees to his lawyer? None of this even makes any sense, bro.
So just because something doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean that it's true. I.e., you don't really sound like too much of an educated guy. I don't think that astrophysics would make much sense to you. But this doesn't mean that like space, the ISS doesn't stay in the sky because of astrophysics, right?
Okay, so
now
why would
you're
why would
interrupting me.
charge-
When can
No,
I speak?
Dean, why would you?
I just want to know when I can speak
34
without you
different
interrupting me.
Hold on, I'm just telling you. Why would you give somebody 34 different charges for the same crime?
Well, you actually
An
can't be
alleged
charged
payout.
multiple times for the same crime. That's a violation of the Constitution, most notably the double jeopardy clause of the Fourth Amendment. And this is why we know it wasn't 34 different counts of the same crime, because that would be unconstitutional and thrown out on appeal. But no, he was found
Thank you.
guilty
I'm
of 34
so
different
glad you
counts
brought that
of
up.
34 different crimes, and then the appeal failed 4 times. Each act was charged, and each act amounted to 34 charges. Thank you. Now, I want to speak
why
without
would they
interruption.
change?
You're continuing to interrupt me. Do I need to mute you? Do I need to put the binky in your mouth?
No, I'm asking you a question. So why?
No,
was
I'm
it
trying to
changed from
speak and you won't let me.
Why-
Like, this is embarrassing.
Well, you sound like you know what you're talking about. So
I do know what I talk about, and I'd like to share something with you that I know, but you won't let me. I've been trying to make a point now for 4 minutes. I told
No,
you that
you're
I was going
not.
to wait
You're-
until you to finish to make it, and you finish, and then I start speaking, responding to what you just said, and then you mute me, then you interrupt me again. Okay, we're going to do this one last time. I'm going to let you speak for as long as you want to, uninterrupted, and as soon as you are done speaking for as long as you want to, uninterrupted, I will begin speaking as long as I want to, uninterrupted.
Great.
Go for it.
So I'm glad you brought up that up. So when Trump appealed it, Trump won, right? He won. So she was ordered to pay some $600 and something thousand of his legal fees, which she still refuses to pay to this day. The bottom line is she's a liar, and you're believing in it, which makes it even more dangerous because it gives you gas to tell everybody he's a rapist or a weirdo when he's really not. The guy has been around like the hottest girls in his life. He doesn't need to stoop down to that lowness of a female. Okay, that's not even his style, bro. Like, and not to mention all the other stuff that came out against Trump the minute he decided to run for presidency. It's the boy who cried wolf over and over with you guys, and he's been unfairly targeted, just like Mayor Giuliani, dude. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, now it's my turn to speak. Yeah, well, I mean, I think that this angle is disgusting. We clearly see it from many disgusting men, where your argument against the claim that E. Jean Carroll was raped is to call her female and say she's ugly, okay? First and foremost, that's just very degrading to say about any woman, especially a woman that's been raped, okay? Second of all, we know that Donald Trump disagrees with you. Clearly, he thought Marla Maples was hot, and then he confused a picture of E. Jean Carroll to be Marla Maples under deposition. And the second point that I'll make here is you just lied. You just told a big lie. You said that Trump won on appeal against E. Jean Carroll. You're a liar. That's not true. He's lost every single appeal in the E. Jean Carroll rape case.
Stormy Daniels, not Eugene.
Oh, okay. Well, that's also not true because guess what? Stormy Daniels didn't sue Donald Trump for jack shit. She didn't prosecute Donald Trump for jack shit. This is in reference to his 34 felony convictions in criminal court, in which was driven by state prosecutors, not any one private citizen. So you were also lying there.
No, I'm not, Dean.
Okay,
Sorry,
then give me your source.
The power to save lives is within you. Donate plasma and get paid for your time.
Wawa's $6 meal deal is back. Sandwich, drink, and chips, all for just $6.
What's a source? I don't know what a source is. My source is my brain. I had a nap, and when I was napping, I had a dream. It was a divine revelation. No, sir, let me speak. I had a nap, and when I had a nap, I had a dream. And in this dream, I had a divine revelation from Trump. Wait, no, that's the jury verdict form where he raped a woman. I had a revelation from Trump Christ himself. Wait, nope, that's the 34 felony convictions. I had a revelation from Trump. Nope, that's also the 34. Come on, bro.
So
Fuck.
yeah. So in
No. I'm gonna do the bit. I'm gonna do the bit, bro. Shut up. 1 second. Fuck.
It's a nice hat, though.
I had a revelation from Trump Christ himself. That's right. I had a revelation from Trump Christ himself, ladies and gentlemen. And in this dream, this revelation told me that Stormy Daniels was a liar.
That's not Jesus. That's a doctor. Come on. We all know that's a doctor.
All right, we'll litigate that claim after you give me evidence that he won an appeal in the 34 felonies conviction. In the 34 felony conviction.
Okay, so bottom line on the hush money appeal, Trump won it on a procedural win in November of 2025, which keeps his challenge alive to give him another shot at dismissal, right? But he hasn't won the appeal. When
you win an appeal, it is dismissed.
Well, I guess it's still up in the air.
Okay, so you lied.
No. The federal judge dismissed Daniels' lawsuit from the 2018 to 2023. And she was ordered to pay Trump's legal fees of around $300,000. My bad.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, nothing to do with an appeal of the 34 felony convictions. You lied.
No, that's not what I said. I was saying
that is what you said.
Thing with Stormy Daniels. No, the Eugene Carroll situation is completely false. She's a liar completely.
Okay. How do you know that?
Done anything to her.
How do you know she's a liar?
Because her story is bullshit.
Okay. What are the inconsistencies in it? Tell me.
A lot. For one, no witnesses. Another one that, nobody was around. Two,
wait. Not having anybody in the room is not an inconsistency in the story. And listen, an inconsistency in a story would be like a contradiction, okay? Or something that wouldn't be reasonably possible to be the case. But like clearly, in circumstances where somebody's getting raped, it is reasonably possible that they'd be alone, okay? And it's clearly not contradictory for nobody to be around when somebody's getting raped because it's not true in all scenarios when somebody is raped, people are around. Therefore, that's not an inconsistency in her story. Get real.
It is 100%. Like even
I just described to you how it's not.
Yeah, I literally listened to her interview
buddy, listen, do you agree that an inconsistency in a story would be somebody saying something that is not reasonably possible or somebody saying something that is contradictory?
Dude, she made up the story. It never happened, brother.
Okay, so you're not going to tell me if you agree that's what an inconsistency is?
Yeah, and
can you please answer my question?
He was found.
So by the way, can you please answer my question?
Liable.
So can you answer my question, dude?
Dude, he doesn't even know that lady.
All right,
is what I'm
yeah,
telling you.
cool, bro. Can you answer my question?
No, I can't.
Oh, yeah, because it fucks you up, dude. You're over here saying
No.
that an inconsistency in the testimony of a rape victim is when they were raped, nobody's around. Okay, yeah. The reason why,
not
once again,
true.
that's not an inconsistency
No.
is because in a lot of scenarios, when people are raped, guess what? Nobody's there to watch it. And an inconsistency would be something that isn't reasonably possible or something in which is contradictory, therefore false. And because it's reasonably possible that nobody's around and it's clearly not contradictory, it's therefore not an inconsistency. So I'd just be a little bit more specific with your language if you want to, like, give an example of inconsistency within her testimony. But if we're going to evaluate the likelihood of them telling the truth via the acknowledgement of inconsistencies in their testimony, well, now we know that we should believe E. Jean Carroll because there's many inconsistencies within Donald Trump's testimony in that court case. The first inconsistency was when he lied about claiming that he never met E. Jean Carroll, that E. Jean Carroll then responded to by submitting a picture of them together to the court. The second inconsistency is when he claimed he never raped her because she wasn't his type. First and foremost, I think a non-rapist would say I wouldn't rape her because rape is wrong. Second of all, we know that she was his type, and he lied about that too because he confused a picture of E. Jean Carroll to be a picture of his ex-wife, Marla Maples.
Yeah, that's all bullshit. Sorry.
No, that happened under deposition.
No, I mean, being held civilly liable for defending yourself, I mean, that's just crazy. And I think that needs to be changed. And now you wonder why a lot of men are choosing not to get into relationships because basically a woman can just make up whatever she wants and you're kind of fucked.
Okay, so let's go over the facts of the court case. I have a question. Have you at any point in the past said that you could just grab women by their vaginas without asking first?
Well, are you talking about the recording that that was done on Trump when he was outside of a bus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you listen to the recording, it was consensual. When you're rich and famous, women will let you do anything.
And if you're 6'4" and built like Superman, I guess the old lady will just let you take her purse when you ask for it in the middle of the night with a mask on. Okay? Now answer my question. At any point before, have you ever said that you could just grab women by their vaginas without asking them first?
No, he never even said that.
Okay, so you would just reject that Trump said that. Okay, next. Have you at any point before admitted to sexually exploiting people and called it funny?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I've done a lot of weird shit and said a lot of funny things, so I don't know. Maybe. Is a maybe an answer? I don't know, man.
Can you repeat the question I just asked you to make sure we're on the same page here? Can you repeat the question you heard me ask you?
You asked me if I have ever made fun of somebody that claimed that they were a sexual victim, correct?
No, that's not what I asked you.
Maybe I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but generally around there.
No. So first and foremost, you don't know if you've ever made fun of somebody who was raped?
Yes, I have. I've made fun of that Eugene Carroll because she's a liar.
Okay. All right. So you're just telling us that you know that she was a victim of rape and that you're making fun
No,
of her.
she's
Well,
not a
we already
victim.
knew that.
She's making it all up because she's a fucking liar.
So you're saying that you like make fun of people who you think were lying about rape? Well,
No,
unfortunately,
I think it's pathetic that you're gonna wait for the statute of
for everybody
limitations
watching, this isn't a bombshell. This isn't a oh my god, what the fuck moment. This is literally what he was doing like 3 minutes ago that we called him out on. This is what every POS MAGA pig does when they come up on the stream and they talk about Eugene Carroll.
Well,
There's
why do you
nothing
call me that,
shocking
then?
there in the slightest because that's
Why
what
are you
they all
calling me a
do.
pig, bro?
Okay? Because you are a pig. Deal with it. Okay?
How? Because I want evidence? Because I want actual proof of an incident that
No,
happened?
not because you
I
want
don't
evidence,
hearsay.
but when you're given evidence and you're given a conviction, you don't believe it. Now, here's
No,
the question
I
that I
don't.
actually asked, because you obviously weren't listening. The question that I asked you is, have you ever admitted to sexual exploitation yourself, like sexually exploiting somebody else, and then called it funny?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe.
Dude.
I played a lot of football. We say a lot of crazy shit in the locker room. I don't know, bro.
Dude, I'm essentially asking you, have you ever admitted to raping somebody and then talked about how funny it is? I'm essentially asking you, have you ever admitted to barging into a little girl's bathroom, a dressing room, looking at her naked body, then boasting about how funny it is?
You're trying to set
what do
me
you
up
mean
in
you don't know? Like, are you a rapist?
No, look.
No, have you ever engaged in unconsensual sexual conduct?
Listen to me.
Have
Okay.
you? No. Have
Listen
you
to me.
ever engaged in unconsensual sexual conduct?
No, of course not.
But no, I don't believe you because you just said that you don't know if you've ever admitted to unconsensual sexual
No.
conduct.
Joking about it.
Wait, so you've like jokingly admitted to rape?
No.
Okay, well then the answer to my question is no! My question was, have you ever admitted to sexual violence and then called it funny?
Probably not.
What do you mean probably? You understand
I may make fun of other people. I may make fun of other
you
people.
understand that for you to admit to sexual violence, then to call it funny, would first necessitate that you engaged in sexual violence. So when you say you probably haven't admitted to sexual violence and called it funny, you're saying that you probably haven't sexually violated anybody.
No, I've never done anything like that.
Okay, so then you've never admitted to sexual violence and called it funny. No, I want an answer to the question because I'm in the middle of building an argument. So you have never admitted to sexual violence and then called it funny, right?
No.
Okay, Trump has.
Well, I didn't vote for my pastor, okay? I voted for my president of the United States. Now, I don't really care about these semantics when it comes to these liars that are trying to, shed his name.
So
and work
Trump
for the
lied
Democrat
when he
Party.
said that he was guilty of sexual violence?
Dean, I know you're a grifter. I know you are.
You're
It's
calling
fine.
me a grifter because you're getting your shit fried, buddy. Calm down,
No,
it's
dude,
embarrassing.
Because I know for a fact that you do like Trump because he saved your TikTok platform. I know this for a fact. You must like him for that. Say,
Cope.
I want to hear you say it.
Cope.
I want to hear you say it. I want to
This
hear
is
you
all
say it.
cope because you're getting
No,
cooked.
no,
Here's
I wanna
Donald
hear
Trump
you say it.
admitting.
I want to hear
This
you
is
say
all
it.
cope because you're getting cooked. Here's Donald Trump admitting to engaging in sexual violence.
No, you just want to give a win to Trump, and I get it. But I want to hear you say.
Well, I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show. Yes. And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like a
everything
doctor.
is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Oh, so he was backstage. Ooh, he was in the backstage of the stage. You know how many times I've been backstage?
So he was in women's only dressing rooms.
No.
Backstage.
He said backstage
Because that's where the
Brother,
dressing
in
rooms
that,
are.
Homie, dog. In that statement, he said backstage.
Yes,
he never
because
said,
that's where the dressing rooms are.
So in that recording, did Trump say, "I was in the backstage dressing room and I went in there and grabbed every girl by the pussy"? That's right, I did it. I raped everybody in the backstage dressing room specifically.
nuts.
No, he never said it. He never said any of that.
So he said that he went backstage and
making
then
up
went into the
stories,
dressing
Dean.
rooms.
Not to mention, it's so weird that you would take a Howard Stern
he said
recording, a
that he
show
went-
that is filth, a show that had a competition to a person who could give the largest bowel movement on air. You're going to take a fucking recording from that show, a show that literally had who had the smallest penis competition on air. And you're going to take a recording from that filth?
So,
Dude,
first point.
that was the most PG statement I've ever heard Trump ever say, to be honest with you. And that's the best they got out of him on Howard Stern?
I feel like he's gaslighting himself. Okay.
Wow.
First clarifying question, it will be relevant to the counter argument. If I told you that I was sitting down on a 2x2 wooden plank affixed to the ground with 4 steady legs with sturdy back support, would I be telling you that I'm sitting down on a chair?
Smart shoppers know one thing: value wins. At Ashley, value isn't a promotion, it's our promise.
It depends, man. You could be sitting on like a futon.
Okay, yeah, but a futon wouldn't be a 2x2 wooden plank. So
Okay, well then you're sitting on a chair. Yeah.
yeah, so if I tell you that I'm sitting on a 2x2 wooden plank affixed to the ground with 4 legs with sturdy back support, I'm telling you I'm sitting in a chair. Okay,
Most
perfect.
likely you're sitting in a chair.
Now, did I ever use the word chair?
No.
Perfect. So this is why I say that Donald Trump said he went backstage into the women's only dressing rooms. Because what did he say?
He said he never said that.
Well, the same way I never use the word chair.
Yeah, but you're speculating. See, that's
Well,
dangerous.
I'm
You're entering
speculating.
dangerous territory, and this
Listen,
is why
I'm,
too
I'm,
many
spec-
liberals.
I'm speculating just as much as you speculated when you told me that I'd be sitting on a chair if I told you I'm sitting on a 2x2 wooden plank affixed to the ground with 4 legs with sturdy back support. The reason why that's not speculation is because speculation is defined as belief with no reason. However, you would have a lot of reason to believe that I told you I'm sitting on a chair if I told you I'm sitting on a sturdy 2x2 plank affixed to the ground with 4 legs with sturdy back support, because that is the description of a chair. Very similarly, when Donald Trump says he went backstage then into an area where men weren't allowed, that he was breaking a rule by going in, where women were naked and getting undressed with no clothes on changing, okay, where he had to abuse the fact that he was the owner of the pageant to then do a false inspection of that space, we know that he's describing a private woman's only dressing room. And listen, the cherry on top of this is what every single woman who remember it happening to them has said. There hasn't been a single woman nor a single girl that has come forward and claimed that this happened in a general backstage area. Every single woman and every single girl who remembered this occurring to them claimed that it happened in the dressing rooms. Even the women who were defending him. Veronica Hughes was a contestant of Miss Teen USA in 1997, and she's pro-Trump all the way, MAGA cultist. And Veronica said that, yeah, he would go into the dressing rooms, like everybody else is saying, like he said when he described it, but he'd just give us a heads up before he'd walk in and we'd all have clothes on. So in culmination, we know it was a private woman's dressing room because that's what he described, and that's what every woman said, including the pro-Trump MAGA cultist women who spoke out to defend him.
Okay, again, thank you. He gave them a heads up and they put their clothes on. Like, whatever, bro. Like, I think you're just really like hung up on this, and it's a little bit weird.
Oh, so you concede it's a dressing room. You knew it was a dressing room you knew it was a dressing room all along. And you just didn't want to say it because you knew that would mean Donald Trump sexually exploited them. But now you have an out because one of the women said that he would give them a heads up and they'd put clothes on before he'd walk in. So now you're fine with admitting that it was a dressing room. Well, the issue with the claim that, you know, they all put clothes on is that in this clip on Howard Stern's radio show, he said they have no clothes on.
Therefore, I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody?
So guess what? Thank you for admitting it was a dressing room because you thought you had a way out, i.e. claiming that they were dressed. But guess what? It doesn't work because Donald Trump said they weren't. You're fucked.
He never said dressing room, he said backstage.
Oh, so now you're just completely walking back your prior admission that sure, Dean, it happened in the dressing room?
Let me tell you something.
Oh, wait, but you already admitted it. You can't walk that back.
Dean, I'm a professional content creator.
A professional runner?
I have been
A professional coward? A professional cult member? I know. We know.
I'm a professional content creator, okay? I make videos for brands. Now, I have been in dressing rooms. You got to give a heads up. You go in, the girls are closed.
You have 48 followers.
I started this account yesterday.
Yeah, professional content creator.
Yeah, I just started this account yesterday.
Yeah.
I've always been the guy behind the camera. My customers are people with already big followers. You understand? Yeah. I'm going to Texas next month. I got a guy with 600,000 followers.
Yeah, then wouldn't it make you a professional content creator to be a professional videographer, by the way?
No. I create content for other people that have followings. Does that make
That's
sense?
not what it means to be a content creator. You just tried to lie.
Content. I create content. I'm a content creator. Yes.
So a content creator is described as the person who who posts the content on their platform.
Yeah. I'm starting to do that now, as you just seen.
Oh, so true. With 48 followers. Huge.
Yeah, I just started yesterday.
Huge. No, good job.
Yeah, so I just started, and by the end of next week, I'll probably have 500. I can go live and do live edits with all my work and my clients and stuff.
No, yeah,
really
huge,
cool.
huge.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also want us to kind of come together a little bit on things, and not make this all about, Trump's the big bad guy when he did do good things, even for you with TikTok, for example. I mean, you've blown up on this thing. You got people listening to you left and right. You're an influential person amongst the left. It's important to give certain wins to our president because I don't think he's the bad guy here, Dean. I think he actually cares about you just as much as I care about him and him succeeding in his presidency. You know what I mean? We have certain needs and wants that we want on our side, and we're not getting them right now. And you know that we're not getting mass deportations. We're not getting what we want. You know this. The left has effectively organized and blocked us against getting what we want. So now we're just a big amnesty program now.
So wait. So I want to respond to the first point that you made there. So you said we can't act like Trump is this big bad guy because, well, Trump has really helped me. If it wasn't for Trump, I wouldn't have this platform. I wouldn't have the followers. I wouldn't have the income. Okay, yeah. Do you know who William L. Shire is?
It doesn't ring a bell. Sorry.
No worries. So William L. Shire, he died a long time ago, so I don't expect you to know him. But he was a very predominant historian on the global stage because he had first-hand accounts and he reported on his regime firsthand. Okay, and that made William L. Shire a career, that made him a lot of money. It gave him a lot of success. It gave him a lot of notoriety. So would you say that we can't say Hitler is completely a bad guy because he gave careers to people like William L. Shire that reported on his wrongdoings?
Yeah, you see, you can't compare Trump to Schmittler, bro.
Okay, so this is a rule that only applies to Trump, but doesn't apply to anybody else. And I'm actually, so what I'm doing is I'm not comparing Trump to Hitler. I'm just simply applying your logic in another scenario where it proves to be absurd.
Yeah, but you guys always go back to the Schmittler-Hitler thing. And
no,
like,
I mean, Donald Trump did threaten to genocide 90 million people.
Did he do it?
Oh, no, he just threatened it. Yeah,
see,
big own. Big own, right? He didn't actually genocide them. He just threatened to genocide them. Do you have any kids? Do you have any kids?
Yes. Don't worry.
Okay, if somebody threatened to rape your kids but never did it, would you look at them with a smile on your face?
If they try to do some shit?
No, they didn't. No, they never actually tried to do it. They just threatened it.
Oh my God, Dean. The point I'm trying to make to you is...
Answer my question. If somebody threatened to rape your kids but never did it, would you look at them with a smile on your face or would you want to fucking kill them?
If they didn't actually do it and they just were threatening, I wouldn't engage in any violence, no.
But would you want to engage in violence?
No. I would look at him as a crazy person and get away from me.
You can't tell customers to eat it.
It's a restaurant, Todd. What am I supposed to say?
Okay, so that's crazy,
Okay.
first and foremost. I think that any good parents would probably desire to engage in violence against somebody that threatened to rape their kids, regardless if they did it or not. That's just already such a red flag. But second of all, you said that it would deem them to be crazy. So can we agree here the reason why you would deem somebody to be insane if they threaten to rape kids is because raping a child is like really wrong?
Yes, and now you're making my point.
Here's a follow-up question that I have to ask you. I'm building an argument. Don't tell me to hold up. I'm building an argument. I'll let you speak once I'm done. Can we agree that genocide exists on that same level of child rape as like the worst things a person can do?
Yeah, genocide's pretty bad, yes.
Okay, perfect. So then you'd also look at somebody to be insane and crazy if they threaten genocide.
Now I'm so glad you brought that up.
Right?
Because now you know how you have to handle these Arabic countries like Iran. You have to fight crazy with crazy. When they can go on live TV and constantly say death to America, burn our flag, right? Then finance proxy groups all over the world that then go and unalive and do crazy shit to our boys that were overseas over there. Let's be honest, all the IEDs were built in Iran. I mean, they found multiple, bombs on bases that were manufactured in Iran. So let's not even go down that route. At the end of the day, you're
an
crazy,
IRGC
bro.
supporter.
No, they are crazy, bro.
Your logic means you should support the IRGC. Can I tell you why?
No.
I'm going to tell you why. Because you just said
finish.
that Donald Trump is justified in engaging like crazy things, such as threatening a genocide of the Iranian people, because Iran and the IRGC has been fucking with us for a long time by funding proxy groups, killing our people, yada, 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 so on and so forth. But guess what? The IRGC didn't start it. The U.S. did. Why? Because the U.S. started meddling with Iran before the IRGC existed, bro. We couped their democratically elected leader in the 50s. All right?
Yes.
And then once the IRGC came to power, okay, we shot down planes over Iran that killed upwards of 40 people in Iranian, in Iranian hospitals. We made an agreement with them, and then Trump pulled us out and said, fuck you, Iran. We dropped bombs and tomahawks, killing 160 of their girls, 2,200 civilians as a whole. Your logic that we need to fight crazy with crazy is actually what gives justification to the IRGC IRGC, because they are fighting crazy with crazy. They are fighting U.S. imperialism that reaches back into the roots of Iran before the IRGC existed, with crazy like burning the flag, like shouting and screaming death to America, so on and so forth. And that's why your argument that you're making right now amounts to support for the IRGC. I don't support the IRGC because I don't think we should fight crazy with crazy. I don't think that the IRGC is justified in killing their protesters because of U.S. imperialism. I don't think that the IRGC is justified in funding these proxy groups that kill only innocent people, okay, because of U.S. imperialism. I'm not a supporter of terrorism, right? Regardless if it comes from the IRGC or the U.S. But you're telling me that you do think it's justified to fight crazy with crazy. So because the U.S. was crazy first directed towards Iran, then Iran is justified in being crazy back.
Right. And if you've seen the movie Frankenstein, the new one on Netflix, it's a good movie, by the way. If by your logic, we created this Frankenstein problem, then we have to be like Victor in the movie and take out the problem, even if we did create it with good intentions or bad intentions.
Wait, you agreed with Victor trying to kill Frankenstein?
Yes.
Bro, you're just straight up a villain.
No, I'm not.
Dude, the point of Victor trying to kill Frankenstein in the new movie, and like in the book and other renditions of the book, okay, was to paint Victor as a villain and Frankenstein as like this morally vague character that we kind of like because of how Victor tried to hurt him so much by killing him. Like the takeaway from Victor trying to kill Frankenstein is not supposed to be fuck Frankenstein, W. Victor. Like, you're legit a villain. It's not even just politics. It's also film and literature. And I should correct myself here. This is a blunder on my end. Frankenstein is not the monster. The monster's name is just the monster. Victor's last name is Frankenstein. But that aside, you're the fucking villain. What is wrong with you?
No, and if you watch the movie carefully, there is a scene where Victor himself got a little bit nervous around the beast. Okay, specifically when he was trying to communicate with him normally, and then obviously he got more abusive with him because he was realizing that he just wasn't getting anywhere with him under his current method, and he created a monster. What I'm saying is, if we created the monster, then we have to be similar to Victor and take care of the problem. If that's the case, by your logic, we created this issue in the Middle East, then now we're tying up loose ends.
This just makes me want to kick the guest. Like, it's like he's not even just crazy about politics, he's crazy about everything. Even something like non-political, such as the Frankenstein movie, he thinks that Victor was the good guy, right? So what this tells me is that there's just no possible way I will ever be able to reach him. If he's crazy, not just about his support for Trump, but about everything, and that craziness extends into his interpretation of film, then I will not be able to reach him on any level. So I just gotta kick him. We just gotta move on. He can't be reached at all. At all, he can't be reached.